All right, so you finally decided to take that fantastic Mediterranean cruise of your dreams, right? Oh, great. Soon you're going to be basking in the sun, strolling down the streets of Rome, eating a gelato,
Mm,
or maybe swimming by a beautiful beach in Mykonos. Sounds fantastic, right? But did you know that there's a few mistakes that can completely ruin your experience? My name is Rick.
and I'm Andrea. And from our home base here in Italy, we have been on, what is it, like 30 Mediterranean cruises?
Yeah, something like that. Well, look, in all that time, we've watched so many vacations get wrecked by the same simple mistakes. We see the people making them over and over. And honestly, it's kind of tough to watch, such a dream trip turn into such a stressful mess.
Right. So we are going to walk you through the key mistakes and how to avoid them so you can have that incredible cruise in the Mediterranean that you're dreaming of. And stick with us because one of the tips is one of the most people never see coming,
Mhm.
and it can save you from a world of trouble. So, mistake number one, the arrival and departure gamble. All right, let's get into the first and maybe the biggest mistake as we see. Cutting your flight times way too close. So many cruisers book their flight to land on the morning of the ship leaves. And that is just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen it countless times. People show frazzled, totally jet lagged, and they miss out on that amazing first afternoon on the ship just because they are wiped out.
Mhm.
You're risking flight delays, lost luggage, or just general airport madness, causing you to miss the ship entirely. We always tell people to arrive at your departure port at least one full day before your cruise.
Yeah. And this isn't really just about managing stress either. Like, let's be real. In Europe, train delays, for example, they're a thing. And transit strikes can happen with very little warning. Actually, it happened to us just before a cruise in the UK. Okay, fine. It wasn't a Mediterranean cruise, but it doesn't really matter. It's still the same thing. There was this train strike on the day of boarding. So what did we do? Well, we looked into it and we took a train a day in advance. That solved all the stress.
Yes, and we were able to do that because we were already in London. We arrived in London a couple of days before a cruise. If we flew on the same days as boarding, we would have missed the cruise completely. Anyways, going a day or two early means getting some bonus day of vacation. Now, your cruise might kick off from Rome or Barcelona, and those are magnificent world-class cities. Why would you want to just sprint through them on the way to the port? That
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense. Arrive a day or two early, get settled in, and actually go see the city without the total frantic clock ticking on your head and telling you go to the port.
Exactly. And the same logic applies to the end of your cruise. I mean, don't book a flight home for the same afternoon that you get off the ship. I mean, we've seen ships delayed for hours coming into port because of bad weather. Remember that time we went to Rome?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the panic of watching your flight time get closer and closer while you're still miles out at sea?
Yeah, that one extra night in a hotel is such a small price for a total peace of mind. You can enjoy that last breakfast or maybe even lunch on the ship and check out when you want and then make your travel day home just another part of your adventure. So let's talk about mistake number two, the itinerary illusion. So the next big mistake is not really understanding the itinerary you have booked. People hear Mediterranean cruise and picture one specific thing. But the truth is, there's a bunch of different cruises style over here in the Med.
Yeah, exactly. You have to ask yourself, right? What do I want to see and do on this trip? I mean, the Western Med, for example, is great for first timers, hitting those big iconic ports like in Spain, France, and Italy. The Eastern Med is more about the gorgeous coastlines, Croatia and the Greek Isles. Knowing what you want to experience keeps you from, well, booking the wrong vacation, right?
Absolutely. But here is the real trap. The name of the port is often not the city you are thinking about visiting. The brochure says Rome, but your ship is actually docking in Civitavecchia, which is about 90 minutes trip to the city, or as much as 2 hours if there's traffic. And if your port says Florence, you're actually going to dock in Livorno or La Spezia, which is again about an hour away from the city center.
Right. People usually don't factor in that travel time. They look at the port schedule and they see, okay, great, I got 8 hours. So I'm going to spend a full day in Rome. But no, the reality is you lose 3 to 4 of those hours just getting there and back. It's a huge shock for many people, and well, it can really mess up your plans, right?
Yep. And one more thing about these itineraries, they can be intense. A typical week-long Mediterranean cruise has very few sea days, if any. You are in a new port almost every day. If you plan a massive 10 hours excursion at every single stop, you are going to be absolutely burned out by day 4. So take it easy and peace your day.
hmm Yeah, okay, so let's talk about now timing, right? Um, if there's one piece of advice that I'd literally shout from the rooftops, it's this. If you can avoid it, don't cruise the Mediterranean in July and August.
Oh, absolutely. It's a mistake for so many reasons. First off, the heat isn't just hot, it can be scorching. It gets so incredibly hot and humid, and walking around ancient ruins starts to feel like more like a chore than a thrill.
Exactly. All you really want to do is find air conditioning. And second, the crowds, they're on another level. You're not just sharing space with other cruise passengers, you're sharing it with millions of other sweaty tourists. That's exactly it. Even the streets in the tiny coastal towns are so packed you can barely move. And the lines for the major attractions, they go on and on and on for hours.
Absolutely. And lastly, in July and August, schools are still closed. So you'll likely find a lot of kids on your cruise that might run and scream around. So if you prefer a more adult vacation, this is just another reason to avoid the peak of summer. We always recommend the shoulder season, May, June, September, or even early October. The weather is beautiful, honestly, much more comfortable for sightseeing. The crowds are manageable, and the whole vibe is just authentic and relaxed.
Exactly. And not only that, your bank account will also thank you, right? Prices for flights, hotels, and even the cruise itself are often way lower outside of that peak summer window. You get a better trip and you pay less for it. I mean, what's not to love, right?
Absolutely. Let's talk mistake number 4, the packing fails. This next mistake seems to be so obvious, but we've seen it over and over again. Packing the wrong stuff, especially the wrong shoes. Let me tell you, Europe is not that place for those flimsy, flat flip-flops.
No, look, you're going to be walking on this trip a lot. You're going to be walking on ancient cobblestones, steep hills, and probably even a lot of uneven ground. So, good, comfortable walking shoes with some real support are going to be your most important gear here, right? Now, we've seen people have to bail on their first or second day and head back to the ship just because of blisters. What a waste.
Yeah, and that's not just about shoes. Mediterranean is not a tropical sea. In the summer, it's really hot, but if you go in May or September, you have to pack in layers. An afternoon exploring can be nice and warm, but once the sun goes down and you're sailing, it can get a little surprisingly cold and breezy, especially out on the decks. Also, and this is a big one, many churches, especially in Italy and at the Vatican, requires you to have a strict dress code, no bare shoulder or no bare knees. Having a light scarf to throw over your shoulders or a pair of zip-up pants can be a total lifesaver.
Yeah, and two quick things to always have in your day bag. That's a hat and a refillable water bottle. I mean, the Mediterranean sun, it's no joke. And staying hydrated really is the key to feeling good and actually enjoying your day on shore. Now, let's talk about mistake number 5, right? Food fallacies, right? Um, this mistake is a personal pet peeve of mine. It's when people rely only on the ship for their meals. Look, the buffets are fine, right? But you're in one of the greatest food regions in the entire world. Right?
Absolutely. Trying the local food is such a huge part of the travel experience. Save some room to eat ashore. When you're in Genova, for example, find a little trattoria in the old town and try some homemade pesto pasta. It will change your life. In Barcelona, you have to find those little tapas and try them all. The ship's food is convenient, sure, but it will never ever compare to an authentic local meal.
Yeah, and of course, don't be afraid to get a little lost,
Mhm.
right? In Cadiz, for instance, wander off the main square to find a place that's serving real paella. In Rome, find a little trattoria for a life-changing bowl of cacio e pepe. And in Athens, for example, I mean, nothing beats a fresh souvlaki straight from a street cart or the market, right?
Absolutely. Here's a little pro tip. If you see a restaurant with the host out front aggressively try to lure you in, or there's a big flashy pasta making display in the window, it's almost certain it's a tourist trap. Just walk a few blocks away from the main attraction, look for the place filled with locals, where the menu might not be in English. That's usually where the magics begin.
Exactly. And you can always use a translator app on your phone to see what all of this stuff
Yeah.
means. Now, sharing little tips like that is exactly why we do this. If you're finding this useful and don't want to miss any of our future insider guides, do us a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe buttons because it's free and it really helps us keep the channel going.
So, mistake number 6, the overindulgence overload. Now, let's talk about a mistake that's very easy to make when everything is at your fingertips. Simple overindulgence.
What is that? What is that? Yeah. Look, okay, let's be real. This one is huge. You're on vacation, the food is endless, right? And if you have a drink package, yay, the cocktails are flowing. So it's naturally tempting to go all out. But we see people pay the price for it. They eat and drink way too much, and then they end up getting sick, right? Especially in the summer when it's hot and it's way too easy, to get drunk just because of dehydration, right?
And being sick on a cruise, especially on day one, is no fun at all. You end up stuck in your cabin, feeling miserable, while the ship is docked in a stunning place like Santorini. You're missing the very thing you came here for because you had too many cocktails or went way too far with this fourth place at the midnight buffet.
Yeah, I don't know at all what you're talking about. But look, the goal here is to enjoy the entire journey, not just to conquer the buffet on day one. So our advice is simple. Pace yourself. Enjoy the amazing food. Have some drinks. But remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
Stay hydrated, right? Drink plenty of water. And then you'll have the energy to actually enjoy every single amazing port of call.
Now let's move to mistake number 7, the excursion and port traps. All right, let's talk about what you should do when you're in port. The easiest trap is to fall into is only booking the cruise line's official shore excursions. Yes, they are convenient, but they can be very expensive, and you are often stuck on a big bus with 50 other people. We understand that you are in a foreign country, you don't speak the language, and you don't want to plan how to visit all different landmarks on your own. A cruise line excursion could be a good choice, but trade-off is the lack of spontaneity and authenticity that you would have if you do it on your own. For example, if you want to visit Pompeii from Naples on your own, it's really simple. We made an entire video on how to do it, and you can watch it up here.
Right, and also on a cruise line excursion, you could end up feeling like you're being herded from one photo op to the next on a very tight schedule. For many ports in the Med, exploring on your own or with a small private tour, it's a much better, richer experience. You get the freedom to stay longer where you want and skip the things that are not really interesting to you. By the way, you can scan these QR codes for some of our favorite tours in Rome, Barcelona, or even Athens.
Right, and that brings us to another what's called the tendering time trap. A lot of the smaller Mediterranean ports cannot handle those huge ships, so you have to take a smaller tender boat to get ashore. People see the ship arrives at 9 o'clock in the morning and they book a private tour at 9:15. It just doesn't work that way. Getting thousands of people off the ship with those little tiny boats can take a long time. Always give yourself a huge time buffer on tender days.
Yes, exactly. And finally, of course, a quick word on tourist scams. Be smart and be aware, especially in the crowded areas. If someone runs up and offers you a free bracelet or tries to distract you with anything, just smile and walk away. Keep your bag zipped and wear it in front of you. And please don't buy any of the souvenirs from the shop right next to the Colosseum. Just walk a couple of streets over, and I promise you're going to find the same stuff for better quality and half the price.
Yeah. And lastly, on board, you don't have to use cash. The cruise line will use your credit card, but when you're ashore, it's a different story. In some port, especially the small ones, you might need to use some cash to buy something. In that case, please avoid using money exchange store. They are notorious for overcharging tourists with incredibly poor exchange rates.
Right, exactly. So the tip is if you're going to bring cash, bring euros, not any other currency. And another important tip is to avoid any ATM that's not an official bank. Especially avoid those ATMs at souvenir shops or convenience stores. Again, they're going to charge you a fortune, just like you said, just to withdraw a few euros. Go to any of the big banks and use the ATMs there. Or you can just do what we do and use Wise. You get the cheapest foreign exchange rate possible. They give you a Visa debit card that you can use, and there's virtually no risk to you, especially if you pay with your phone. Look, I use it all the time, and if you scan this QR code, Wise will even waive their transaction fees on up to $500 of foreign exchanges.
Mistake number 8, the final unexpected mistake. Okay, we made it to the final tip. This is the one that we mentioned at the beginning, and it's something that trips up so many travelers because it feels so small. Forgetting about time zone changes.
Oh, right. I mean, look, this sounds so minor, but we've personally seen people get left behind by the ship just because of this, right? If you sail eastward across the Mediterranean, you're going to be crossing some time zones. This happens mostly when you travel from Italy to Greece or vice versa, and vice versa. Now, your phone will probably update itself automatically, but your manual wristwatch? Nope. And most importantly, the ship operates on one single official ship time.
So, if you're out exploring a port in Greece where the local time is an hour ahead of the ship's time, and you forget to account for that, you could be an hour late getting back. And trust us, the ship will not wait for you.
Yeah, no. Every single day, here's what you do. Before you get off the ship, double check the ship's official time against whatever clock you have, right? It'll probably be in your daily planner or in the ship's cruise line app. And look at your phone. Synchronize your phone or your watch to the ship time. It's the only time on the planet that matters for getting you back to your cabin. I mean, this is just a 5-second check before you get off the ship that prevents the single biggest disaster on a cruise. Literally missing the boat.
Absolutely. So, when you boil it all down, the biggest mistake really just comes from lack of planning, not giving yourself those buffer days, not understanding the real logistic of your itinerary, packing the wrong shoes, going in the busiest time of the year, and not watching the tiny details like the ship time.
Exactly. And the Mediterranean is one of those amazing cruise destinations on Earth, right? I mean, it's overflowing with history, culture, and incredible food. And by avoiding these common pitfalls, you're setting yourself up for a truly unforgettable, stress-free vacation. You're not just booking a trip, right? You're going to be building memories that will hopefully last a lifetime.
We really hope these tips were helpful. We would love to hear back from you. What are some of the biggest cruise mistakes you've seen or made? Or what's a great tip that saved your vacation? Let everyone know in the comment below. It really, really helps our whole travel community to avoid those mistakes.
And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe because it'll help others find the video, it'll support the channel, and it'll make sure that you don't miss us in a future video.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.